should we raise cows again and or pigs, or should we do something different? That's kind of the question I'm dealing with. So we've had our property for, what, how long now? Between probably 12, 13 years. And we've essentially raised steers on our property, grass-fed steers, for about 10 of that. And but we have not had I have not had cows since December of last year, so not quite a year. And the reason why we don't have cows this year was a bit of a timing thing, and then the high cattle prices this year kind of discouraged me from getting calves this spring. Normally I would have had one cow over the winter and then one cow this summer, and then gotten, let's say, 2 or 3 calves this spring. But with the high prices, and then we were planning a long trip, family vacation, we decided to wait, and then I just never got calves. And so I don't have calves yet, and I figured I would get calves again this fall, with the idea that I would raise them for 2 years and have them ready for slaughter by, let's say, the fall of, let's see, what did that be, 2026? It takes 2 years to raise them. And we had a whole bunch of beef in our freezer from the last cows we butchered last year. And then we've been able to get some deer, and that helps replenish the hamburger supply and some roast. But I'll be honest, I've kind of enjoyed not having cows around. Not that they're a lot of work, but they are work. You gotta make sure your fences are working, and even when you do, they occasionally don't. Tree limb falls on it, deer goes through your fence, cows break it, just things happen. So you always have those unplanned, unexpected situations where you got to go chase cows down, and it always seems to be at the most inconvenient times, has been my experience. So you have that, and then you have, it takes a lot of time. It's a 2-year return. We actually have quite a bit of access to beef, maybe not to the quality of ours, but we have a lot of dairy operations around here, and it's not uncommon for an operation to have a cow goes down. Let's say they break a leg or they just can't get up. They're an otherwise healthy cow. They get them to the butcher, and then you can buy a quarter of beef or half a beef for, I would say, probably cheaper than you could raise them yourself. So that is kind of an option we always have available. Now, granted, those are not going to be grass-fed. They are raised on, corn silage and hay. Certainly not non-GMO or organic or anything like that. But at the same time, the dairy, even the non-organic dairies can't be pumping their cows with antibiotics and stuff like that. So I think for the most part, they're in reasonably good shape. So that's an option. And the reason I'm even considering whether I should go back to raising beef or not is, number one, having cows does tie you down, and you need to find someone to take care of them when you're gone and all that. You have a dry year like last year, you have to buy hay. You got to make hay. You got to be out there in the winters feeding hay, keeping ice broken, stuff like that. But the other thing that's happened is, for the first time really since we moved out there, we have deer around now. No bucks sighted yet, but we've got 4 deer that have been regularly showing up in our yard. I think because the cows aren't in the woods, kind of keeping that clean and open. That was one of the things I liked about having cattle, is it kept the woods, the brush and stuff kind of knocked down, and you could enjoy the woods a little more. But the side effect of that is we really didn't have deer around. So we've had some deer, and my boys have been really itching. We've been deer hunting on other properties, but we could theoretically have deer on our property, put up some stands, and if I wanted to, I could convert some of the pasture hay ground into some food plots and probably attract more deer if that's the route we wanted to take. You know, if you could harvest 2 or 3 deer a year off your property, that's probably not the equivalent of a cow, but you know, it's a fair amount of burger. I've actually been thinking about raising pigs again, even though I said I would never do that. Primarily because pigs are a much shorter animal to raise out than cow. So like I mentioned, cows, you know, if you want to get them fully developed, you need, especially if you're going to do it grass fed without a lot of grain, you need 2 years to feed that animal to kind of get them up to, you know, full size. So, you know, 2 years of feeding them, taking care of them after you buy them before you get anything. And then you got to be constantly, you know, realistically buying new cattle every year so that you're always replacing them. You don't want to, like, unless you raise them and then put a bunch in the freezer. But then you've got, you know, you want to be making hay and having your pastures used every year. So you have to kind of be constantly rotating new cattle in. Whereas with pigs, I forget what I think with pigs, it's like, I would say like, let's say a 5-month growth period. I could be wrong on that. It could be closer to 4, it could be 6. But it's, you know, you could get pigs in the spring or the summer and raise them throughout the fall, you know, especially with the gardens coming in. You have a lot of garden scraps and waste and things like that. Apples, all those apples we have. Having pigs around would be really nice for that. So you can raise pigs and, let's say, butcher them in the fall, either yourself or take them somewhere. You know, if you raise a couple of pigs, you know, you have a couple of pigs and you combine that with, let's say, 2 or 3 deer, that's quite a bit of meat right there. And then maybe you buy a quarter beef or even a half a beef from some other place just to mix it up a little bit. You know, we would still make hay off of our hay ground. And actually that wouldn't be you know, you can feed a certain amount of hay to pigs. And actually if you plan it, you build a pen kind of over a garden spot, where you can kind of have them work a bunch of that hay in. They'll eat some of it and kind of mix that organic material in. I also have some places along the edge of the woods where I'd like to get some, you know, old stumps and stuff kind of rooted up. You can pen them in there and put some corn in around the stumps, and the pigs will actually really rip those stumps right out. So there's a variety of benefits to pigs. Now I think pigs are a little harder to raise than cattle. If they get out, it's a real struggle to get them in. But anyway, so I'm just throwing this video out there in case, you know, I'd be curious people's thoughts, comments one way or another. I'm probably going to get cows again, but I'm leaning towards waiting until the spring, in part because prices, I guess, are still pretty high, and I kind of like not having cattle in the winter. We'll probably get some calves, let's say in February, and then, you know, feed them milk for 2 months, get them weaned, and then they're kind of ready to go on grass. You know, so when the pastures are really coming into bloom in May, they're kind of ready to go out on grass. So that's probably what I'll do, but I'm not certain that's what I'm going to do yet. So certainly be open to feedback, comments one way or another that people have as to whether we should go back to raising cows. Should we raise pigs? Should we encourage deer on our property or not? I don't know there's a good answer or right answer, but that's what I'm throwing out there. So if you have feedback, feel free to leave a comment below. Appreciate your thoughts. Introduce yourself if you're new to the channel. Like this video if you found value in it. Subscribe if you'd like more videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and until next time, everyone, have a good one.